I'm gonna get started off by just doing a little bit of moisturizer because I just cleansed my skin. I'm using the Pond's Dry Skin Cream. Just a tiny bit of it. I'm gonna work it into my skin. Really concentrating on anywhere I'm extra dry. We are gonna be doing a matte lip, so one of the best things to do at this point in the routine, is put a little bit of lip balm on, just so that it has a moment to really sink into your lips and get them nice and moisturized by the time we go in with that matte lip. This is the Glow In Balm from Yves Saint Laurent Beauty, and it's such a nice primer. It just smooths out texture, so I really do like to focus it on the cheek area because I don't have the best skin day today. I've got a little bit of texture going on. I popped a few zits and didn't need to do that. Because this is going to be French girl inspired, we want to keep the skin as effortless looking as possible without, you know, overdoing it on the base products. So I'm going to take a little bit of a peach eye corrector. This one's from Milani. And just lightly work this into the skin over all of the darkest areas around my eyes. So for me, it's really that outer corner where I get a lot of darkness. And honestly, I feel like you can tell just a little bit of this peach corrector really makes a big difference. It just helps camouflage and brighten all those little dark bits. For the base coverage, I'm gonna use NYX Born This Way. This is a foundation technically, but if you really sheer it out, it looks much like a tinted moisturizer. But I like this because you can customize the coverage you want. We're not going for much of a full coverage look today, so we're just gonna use a touch and work this in where I need some coverage. My skin's pretty red on the cheek area, just from that popping spree I went on, and then really pushing and working the product in with a damp beauty sponge. When I'm doing something like this, where I work it in with my finger first and then blend it in with a tool, I really like to go section by section just so that I'm not racing against the clock to blend everything in on time. This foundation doesn't set particularly quickly, but it just gives you the best result if you do it section by section. I noticed in so many of Violette FR's videos, she talks about not putting foundation in the center of your face so that you can almost fool the eye into looking like there's no makeup on the skin. But I have an extremely red irritated nose because of these fall ragweed allergies. So I'm gonna try to just blend it as much as I can and get it to look a little bit more natural. Just to prevent the eyeshadow from creasing a bit, I'm going to set the eyelids with the Kosas powder. Just a light layer, and I'm mainly focusing it in the fold of my eye so that the products don't migrate into that crease. You don't need a ton, just a touch to keep everything in place. I'm gonna use this little double-ended tool of an eyeliner that's so amazing. This is the Charlotte Tilbury Super Nudes Liner Duo. I'm using the brown shade. And what I'm gonna do, I can zoom you in just a bit. I'm going to apply this close to my lash line. Really does not have to be an emphasis on being perfect. The only thing I want you to make sure is that you don't make the line too thick. So just a good enough amount of that liner to give yourself a little bit of definition. And then we're going to smudge that out. Don't go too crazy during this smudging phase. You're just going to soften and diffuse that line a bit. I'm using just this little Dose of Colors double-ended brush. I really like this for smudging eyeliner. And you can see we're just giving it like a little bit of some haziness, and I'm going to do a really subtle flick. Take your time during this part. Just give yourself some time to get a good blend. This eyeliner will set, So that's why I would suggest doing one eye at a time. Don't go in and line both of them, because by the time you get done blending this eye, the other eye will be set and you won't have any blendability. When you're matching the wings, it really helps if you look at yourself straight on versus from the side while you're trying to do this angle work. Do as best as you can to look at yourself from straight on to get the wings to match. For eyeshadows, I'm going to be using the Charlotte Tilbury Super Nudes palette. I mentioned this in my September favorites, and I think it's absolutely perfect for this look. I love this eyeshadow palette so much. I'm going to start off by taking that darkest black shade and just dipping it into the tip of my brush. This is a Laura Mercier flat liner brush. And what we're going to do is literally just push this on top of the liner as close to the lash line as we possibly can. We're not putting it on top of all of the eyeshadow. I mean, the eyeliner, I'm sorry. We're just using this to really define that lash line. Tap, tap, tap it in so we can get that nice, full looking base. I also have hooded eyes, so I'm looking upward when I apply like this, so I can fully see my lid space, just so I can make sure I'm applying the shadows as best as I can, versus if I'm looking straight at you, my eyes are hooded. To tilt my head back so I can work with my shadows a lot easier. I'm gonna then mix a little bit of that deepest brown shade with the black, and I'm gonna apply it with that same brush I was using from Dose of Colors, and I'm going to just lightly smudge this right on top of the eyeliner, just to help intensify that a bit. And we're gonna smudge out that line. I'll dip a little bit into that taupe shade, and I'll use that to help me buff this around. And also, if you have hooded eyes, using super tiny eyeshadow brushes is really nice, because sometimes when you have hooded eyes, you have a smaller lid space to work with, so these tiny brushes help you have a little bit more control, a little bit more precision. Next, I'm gonna go in with this absolutely beautiful oyster taupe, and we're going to work that onto the lid. Sephora 14 brush, lightly apply it. Try to keep it away from those darker shades as much as you can, just so that you don't take away from that intensity. And then once you hit the crease area, light swirls, light blending, not a ton of pressure. Don't wanna make this patchy, so light hand, press, 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 get that pigment lead down, and then move your hand on the back of your brush like this so you have a softer touch, and we will blend this gal out. Just leaving a little space for highlight. I'm gonna take a clean blender. Again, we're holding like right at the very tip of that brush so that we don't have too much pressure, and we're just gonna soften out the edges of this shadow. Tiny bit of that bone shade, give it a tap so you don't have too much excess powder. Just right under the arch of the brow to give the eye that lift. And for the lower lash line, let's keep this sweet and simple. I'm gonna take that flat liner brush, Laura Mercier flat liner brush. We're gonna go in, I'm gonna go in with that taupe shade, start right at that outer corner, look up to the ceiling, and blend it all the way to the inner corner. Make sure you hit this part right, my eyes are hooded so this is hard to show you. Make sure you hit this part right here so that you don't have a gap in where your shadows meet. Let's finish off the rest of the face, and then we'll do the eyes at the end. I like doing brows and lashes last so that any powder products we use don't cling to brow gel, mascara, all of that. I'm gonna do a little bit of a rusty, warm, pumpkin-y blush. This is from Freck. This is their Cheek Slime in the shade Fielding. This is absolutely gorgeous. I like to take it on the back of my hand, take my little finger, spread it out so I have a little bit more of an even palette to pick it up on my brush. I'm using a Sephora 96 brush, and we are going to tap this right onto the cheek, and then whatever is left from that application will feather in to the apple of the cheek. I'm going to use just a touch of bronzer because we want to add a little bit more definition back into the face. So I'm going to take the Mario Soft Sculpt Bronzer. I can't hold the soft touch packaging, it always slides out of my hands. So this is in the shade Dark. And again, with an emphasis on this, we are just lightly grazing the skin and applying the bronzer around the hairline. You don't really want to be able to see it all that much, but I just like a touch of bronzer to help warm up the skin. For highlight, I'm going to be using this CoverGirl palette. These are powders, but they're like still a little bit more dewy, so they look really soft and natural on the skin. I'm literally just going to mix all of the shades together because I like how it turns into a little bit of a soft golden tone. I'm using the other side of this Mario brush, just tapping a little bit of the excess back into my hand. You can see they're extremely reflective, and you just don't want to overdo it on the skin. So I'm just like tapping it. I'm still using whatever's left over on my hand, and I'm just tapping it right onto those high points. Get a little bit of that soft glow. For the brows, I'm going to use the Kosas Brow Pop and just do a nice full fluffy brow. I'm also going to take my brow pencil and do the good old trick of bringing all the moles back to life, just like that, just to make the skin look as natural and as light coverage as possible. Honestly, I should have just used my freckle pen, but this is in front of me, so we're just gonna use this. But I do love Freck. It's one of my favorites. This is Mario's Master Hold Brow Gel. Comb through the brows with. So I'm gonna use the shorter side so I can really sculpt them upward. I'm going to line my lips just a touch. I'm using the NYX lip liner in Nude Truffle just to define the outer part of my lip, because you can see my lip line is white. And this lip liner seriously just blends right into my lip color. Curl your lashes. It's important. It really opens up the eye and it's going to make a huge difference. Especially with a smoky look like this, you want your lashes to really hold their own. Truly my mascara of choice for the past few weeks, the Ilia Fullest Volumizing Mascara. It's magical and it gives you such great, just like the ideal mascara. It really gives you length, volume, just makes your lashes look so pretty. Lightly brushing through. Couple of mine broke off, so this lash is a little gappy, but it's fine. Just a tiny bit on the lower lashes, not too much. You don't want it to be clumpy. I really wanted to do a beautiful like matte brown, so I'm loving brown right now. Obviously I'm wearing a brown sweater, and this is such a beautiful brown tone for the fall. This is Garth from Makeup by Mario. So you can wear this two ways. You can do it full on as a full coverage lip. I always tell y'all, I do not like the way that looks on me. I like that quintessential French lip where it's just smudged and blotted. You can even take a little eyeshadow brush or a lip brush and blend out that line so it looks a little bit less crisp. This makes it look a little bit more effortless versus like a full, intense, perfect line on the lips. And I'm gonna set this look down with the beautiful Yves Saint Laurent Dewy Skin Balm. Just give it a shake. I'm going to block my eyes off As always, I will list and link every single product as well as shades, just so that can be helpful in terms of skin tone if you're similar to me. And I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any other makeup tutorials that you really want to see for the fall season, I would love to know your feedback. I would love to know like any type of very specific look that you are into right now. I'd love to recreate it for you or do a tutorial. So I hope you loved this one as much as I loved filming it. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye everyone.